Work is crazy right now. You're working at night more than usual, and it's been way too long since you've been to the gym, and the kids are clamoring for your attention. But the thing is, you can't stop working right now. Okay, this thing called work-life balance, you want it, yes, whatever it is, because you're being pulled in all the directions, and you know that something has to change. So, how do we get this thing called work-life balance that everyone talks about? You can't. Work-life balance isn't worth pursuing as a goal. It originated as an idea in the 70s and 80s, my parents, in response to the demands that were being placed on dual income families. Now, friend, it's 2024. Work-life balance is like the equivalent of wanting a cassette player in your SUV. No one wants that. So it's really overdue that we stop chasing this mythical creature called work-life balance, because it's just another burden that's being placed on us that we need to have in order to be successful. And I'm here to redefine success. So if we've not met before, my name is Susan. I'm a recovering success chaser, master coach and creator, and I'm here for the busy, ambitious, success-minded women who are aching for a little bit of this like work-life balance bomb, whatever it is, because while you've got all the success on the outside and everyone says how accomplished you are, what you know for sure is that on the inside, it doesn't feel so good. So I've done my fair share of chasing said concept, and I know to the bone what that imbalance feels like. And so no matter what I was working on, like if I was working on in the evening, I felt guilty that I should probably actually be hanging out with my kids. But if I was doing that, I felt pulled back to my laptop because I needed to finish writing that email that I had started earlier. But when I was doing that, then I felt like, I should probably go like hang out with my husband. And there was always this inner sense of like imbalance wherever I was never there, and I was never spending my time on the right thing. So as a concept, I'm here to call BS on this whole idea. And I want to talk about that so that we can actually start to go after and create what matters, which might be to have that inner feeling of balance, or maybe it's calm, or whatever feeling you want. But change always starts from saying, okay, where are we? What are we doing? How are we approaching it? So that when we get clear on that, then we can start redefining it and going somewhere else. So why is this problematic? Three big reasons. First of all, garbage can fell. Speaking of not being balanced, it puts our attention on creating some perfect thing. It's really misguided. And so where is this mysterious land of work-life balance? It's this cultural suggestion to effort towards achieving some ideal state where work and life coexist in perfect harmony, which is the equivalent to saying that my boys will never ever fight or argue. It happens, right? It's normal. And as a concept, it's very arbitrary. It's putting our attention, our focus on going after something that really isn't attainable. And it's incredibly impractical because we start to think about, okay, what do I need to do to achieve this fixed, static, harmonious, balanced state? I don't know what your life is like, but I have like 1,000 moving parts. And I can tell you that when clients come to me asking to create balance, that under the hood, it's way more practical than that. It's things like, Susan, you know what? I've not been exercising regularly, and I know how good it is for my mental health. And I need to start making that shift back. Or I don't know how to say no to my boss. Like, the guy's really great, we get along, but he just keeps giving me more stuff and my plate is way too full. And I don't know how to push back, because if I do, well, then this, that, the other. Or how about I really love my job and I'm tired of feeling guilty about it. So that is practical, that is meaningful, that's attainable, that's clear. That is something that we can start making happen. But work-life balance, what is that? Here's the other big reason why I'd invite you to rethink this whole idea of work-life balance, because it keeps us feeling super lousy about ourselves. We're feeling guilty because some kid or partner or friend wants more of us and suggests we've been working too much or haven't been spending time with them, or we feel stress, pressure, and anxiety because there's so many competing demands. It's not like it's work in life. We're juggling all the things and we're dropping balls because, yeah, we're working and doing a lot, and that's how life is. And it's really stressful. And then how about failure and shame? I've felt my fair share of that because we can't seem to make anybody happy and get our proverbial shit together. So we keep expecting ourselves to do better so we can feel better. But here's the reality: work is a part of life, it's not separate from. And life is complicated, it's messy, it's uncooperative, chaotic, unpredictable, often like my teen boys. Work-life balance doesn't honor how our lives actually are. And it doesn't honor us and all the things we are doing. So, how about aiming for a life that feels good and that we can actually experience, because we don't need to be feeling lousy anymore about ourselves, or guilt, or stress, or pressure. So, third reason why I'm inviting you to rethink this whole myth of work-life balance is because I think it's really the wrong measure for the quality of life. Meaning that no one wakes up and says, oh, I have work-life balance, I did it, I've arrived, and evaluating to see if it's balanced. So right now in our culture, like the predominant measure of balance is the amount of time spent at work versus at home. And it really is an oversimplified measure of evaluating the life that's well lived. Emphasizing time as the measure means the number one job, the number one priority is to make sure that we're using and managing our time efficiently. So that becomes the quest as a way to ensure our time is properly allocated to here or there to achieve that balance. And this is problematic because once you start measuring time, you're invariably measuring productivity, which is a measure of doing, which keeps us busy doing all the things every single hour of our day, or feeling guilty if we're not. And it never really tells us that we've done enough, which is what leads to exhaustion and burnout. So it's a super slippery slope. Time also encourages us to compartmentalize our life, which more than ever, that strict separation of work from your personal life just doesn't really exist in the same way as it might have. And not everybody wants that. Personally, I like that I can step out and get a quick load of laundry going. It's too disconnected. So work-life balance has created this binary or this competition between work and life. And it's like, who's going to win? Time as a measure, productivity as a measure, really fails to capture the quality and the richness of our experiences. This is nothing about being present. It just reinforces this idea that we need to manage our work, and work is a burden, but your personal life is super fulfilling. And it has those undertones, and it kind of, I think, overlooks the joy and engagement that some people find in their work and the stress that can be in our personal lives. So it's set up this really odd binary that no longer really is useful. So there you have it. There are some big things to chew on. And my hope is that we can start to deconstruct this thing. And I'm going to be doing another video that actually starts to paint how it could be. But in the meantime, if you're like, okay, what do I do now? Here are some action steps to support this shift to not using work-life balance as an idea anymore. But start, if you can, to develop your own thinking about work-life balance. Like, what as an idea, how does it work? And how doesn't it work? And what would you call it? And why does it matter? And how would you feel if you had it? And how would you know you've got it? So I invite you to grab your journal and just put down your own thinking. Or better yet, maybe you could forward this video to your work bestie or your personal bestie, or maybe they're both, so she can listen to it and you can explore this idea together. So what we want to do is break it apart and start thinking differently. And that's going to mean that by the time the next video comes out, it's just going to be so much easier for all those concepts to land. Or here's another thing we could all do. How about creating a shared commitment to not using the term anymore? I'm not here to give you a new term. I'm just here to say, do we need to continue to talk that way about our lives, to go after this thing? Or maybe there's a better way. If you have new language, I'm all ears. Feel free to drop it down below. I'd love to see what new language, new wording is emerging that actually feels meaningful to you. I mean, we can search for things, but what feels good to you? Not something in my voice, obviously. I told myself I'm not going to re-record my videos because I'm here in this like you all are. And this is my life. This is your life. And so there you go. Now, key ideas to summarize. First of all, your attention, it's precious. Let's not have it focused on creating work-life balance because it's too arbitrary. It doesn't work. It doesn't honor our lives. Second, how we feel about ourselves, our efforts, our lives, that matters. We don't need to feel guilt or shame or failure or like we aren't doing enough. Finally, I don't think it's a helpful way to measure the quality of our lives. And I think that women want other things, like a life well lived might mean joy, more calm. So maybe we can just unhitch from that train. So I hope you'll stay tuned. I'm going to share a new video next Friday. And I invite you to come on this journey with me where I'll talk about that new way. And I'll link it down below if you're watching this 1 week after, more than 1 week after. And yeah, so hit subscribe, if you will, because that's useful feedback for me. Drop a comment, that would be so cool. And mostly, thank you for just being open to hearing about a new way we can do this. Take care.